And away we go. Welcome to another episode of the Pickup Meeting. Here we are, Brody Broshears. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's February. It's gonna be February.
That's right.
We don't need to share secrets, but it's gonna be February when this comes out.
It's really January, but
right.
If you're listening to us, you're in the cool crowd. It's February.
Yeah.
February. However it's pronounced, it's that time.
Wow, we did really struggle with pronouncing February.
Right. It's a difficult word. And before we even go to difficult words, this is a just us episode.
Yeah, which means it's just you and me for about 30 minutes. And we think that's good. Like, it's great to have a guest, but we like to hang out together and just chat about the world and life, just like our phone conversations. And so the good news is you're only with us for 30 minutes if you don't like us.
So what month is it?
February.
Right, but we're not saying it right, correct?
I think that sounds right. February? Like, we can't say it the way it's spelled.
February. That's what I think it is. I don't know. What are other words that we struggle with? Because this is one of them, and I know I don't say it correctly.
Like ketchup or ketchup?
Yeah, who says ketchup?
I don't know, but sometimes it's spelled that way.
Yeah, let's not say it that way.
Umbrella or umbrella?
I feel like you're saying the same things. Do it again.
Umbrella or umbrella?
I don't use either one. So
I don't either. I think umbrellas are stupid. Maybe that should be our topic.
Umbrellas are stupid. We're on the same page.
I mean, look, I always feel like when I carry an umbrella, I'm wetter after it's over than if I had just walked really fast.
All right. What about, is it caramel or caramel?
Or caramel?
Caramel. Or which is it?
I don't know.
I think I say caramel.
Yeah, you sound like you're really fancy when you say that. I just say caramel. Like you just took longer. You took longer to say it than I take to eat it.
It just is one of these things where I'm amazed by the English language. And this month, February, really does bring me to this point of like the things that we create. And the English language is stupid. Let's just be in agreement on that. Right?
I'm fine with that.
Come on. Anytime you see somebody of a certain rank in the military and you're like, Colonel so-and-so, and then you're like, spell it.
Kernel.
Like, what is happening? What is happening? It's like a Southerner when they say hi. Hi. And it just keeps going, right? I give my wife grief about that all the time. But there are other sayings and beyond just words that are a lot to handle too. I don't understand, and I'm sure there are origins for some of these. Raining cats and dogs?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
I guess it's raining really hard. I mean, if a cat or dog landed on your head, it would hurt.
So it's hard rain. Okay.
Sure. Let's go. I can answer these questions.
Bite the bullet? Yeah. I don't want to be anywhere near a bullet.
No, I think that means doing some hard things for sure.
I used to do plays and musicals and a variety of things, and everyone with the break a leg. That's terrible guidance. You should not break your leg.
No, it's true, but it is pretty much accepted universally as the thing you say when you're going out to perform, right?
I guess it seems very strange. Like I'm sure there are origins. We're just not going to look them up today.
Yes, I like to sleep like a baby, right? Because babies don't sleep well.
I like 1 out of 10, right?
I would rather sleep like a rock.
Yeah, I'd rather sleep like a dead person.
Yeah, that would work too, I guess.
This one would be bad for me. Cat got your tongue, because then my throat would swell up.
Yes, that's very bad.
Yeah. And I will say, I hear this one and people are like, well, that's not true. I disagree. Money can't buy happiness. if somebody wants to give me a couple $1 billion, I'm going to tell you, I think I might be a little happier.
You might be. But research would tell us you fall back to baseline. I hate to burst your bubble as somebody who talks about happiness on the regular basis. It might make you happier in the short term, but ultimately how happy you are today is how happy you'd end up with that additional $2 million eventually.
No, I went billion with a B.
Oh.
Millions like, okay. If we're dreaming, let's dream when we're buying some sports franchises, Brody.
More money, more problems. That's what I say.
Well, and just like this podcast, apparently the first take is always the best. That one comes from you.
Yeah. I'm reading this book about Miles Davis right now. They talk a lot about the first takes. We were talking about how Jack Nicholson's A Few Good Men famous courtroom speech was a singular take. And they're like, yeah, it's not going to be any better than that. So, I mean, I think that works, at least sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes we do okay and get a first take, and sometimes Matt Markin edits us.
Yeah, but editing is different than doing it more than once.
That's true. You're right. All right, so next week, after this is released, is Valentine's Day, and we could talk about a variety of things for Valentine's Day. But what do you remember? Like in my mind, when I think of Valentine's Day, I think of the corporate aspect of what this has become. You buy the flowers, roses that are $20 today or $180 next week, and chocolates are a lot of money. But you spend some time with your wife, your spouse, and you go out to dinner or go to a movie or have an evening on your own, that type of thing. But in my mind, I go back to like high school. No, high school. Let's go grade school. And the little Valentines that had the corny sayings on them. Yes. And then you would put them inside the box. Like, you probably didn't have boxes, probably like bags, right? Because like they hadn't invented boxes at that point. But like there are things that it could have been. Do you remember this?
I do remember that. I this is an unpopular opinion, but I loved those chalky candy hearts.
Oh, I had little sayings on it.
Yeah, I thought those were good.
Be mine.
Yeah. Love you always or whatever. I don't know what else they said.
I feel like they always had to be pretty short. Love you always seems super long for the community. I think it just said love you.
Yeah, maybe.
Or, now we've gotten a little further. It's probably like, you're okay.
Yeah. You're not totally disgusting. That's a little bit bigger. That would require a much larger candy heart for sure.
But for all the folks listening to this Just Us episode, we heart you for listening to us.
Yes, we do.
Put that on your Valentine.
Do you do something what? So usually for me and Kat, it's kind of a special dinner. Like we'll try to find someplace a little bit different, maybe, or try to hit our favorite spot. And the one thing that we're pretty lucky about is now that I'm a senior citizen, like we have no problem doing that at 4:30 in the afternoon before you need a reservation.
I would say there's some similar approach, right? You're always going to go to some place that maybe you wouldn't go to, but I'm also somebody that doesn't really enjoy massive crowds and the busyness that is. And I'll say in a lot of the towns that we've lived in, it's not like a huge reservations available town.
Yeah.
And so we will predetermine, hey, on Valentine's, let's go out on the 15th. Let's go out on the 12th. Let's do it differently so it's not so unbearable out in public.
Yeah, I don't need Valentine's Day to dictate my love for my spouse. That's true. It can be a different day where we celebrate our love for each other, certainly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All holidays are when you're with the people, not what the date says.
That's right.
Screw you, calendar. We don't need you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Take that.
I have decided that I'm really nice to my kids on that day too. Like I have given my kids Valentine's Day gifts, right? That's been kind of fun.
Yeah, that is fun. That's great. So listen, we could rant and rave about Valentine's Day and all the things that don't make sense in the English language, but we work in higher education.
Yes, we do, Kevin. We should probably talk about, I don't know, university life.
So depending on when you start your semester, and I will say this is a year for us on my campus that has been rough because of the short turnaround. We are on the last day of week 1 today.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So we're a week in. And so the first 5 weeks are really, when we talk about in our world of retention, persistence, connection, the first 5 weeks are critical.
They are.
In your experience, like, how have you done things that really enhance this first 5 weeks to be a powerful point in time for students to connect with your campus?
There's 2 things I want to talk about. One is really more curricular, and the other is really about getting campus buy-in in terms of what early is. Both happened at the same campus, but when we made the first year experience course a required component of our general education program at the University of Southern Indiana, we pretty much committed to meeting with every single student individually in the first 3 weeks, right? And just believed that individual check-in was really critical to helping students feel more comfortable about that first semester. And for me, it was just a chance to get to know the students better, right? So that they didn't feel so nervous when they came to the class, which I tried to always articulate was a pretty low stakes retention builder, right? The course was really designed to give them some skills to help them understand the importance of campus involvement and community engagement, make sure that they were in a good place academically, right? So we had some minimal common elements, but I always found that individual meeting with the student was the best part of helping students understand that you cared about them. And so that was kind of the curricular piece. And then we were a campus in the early 2010s, the University of Southern Indiana was, that didn't really do early alert very well. We weren't getting much feedback back from faculty at all. And then around 2013 or 2014, we really got support from the provost to commit to a 3rd week check-in from faculty and a 6-week check-in. And that's pretty early. And we really asked faculty to try to provide a meaningful assignment even within the first 3 weeks. And so we were really kind of walking that tightrope of academic freedom. And so we ended up pivoting and saying, you really only need to report D's, F's, and not attending in that week 3, but in week 6, you needed to report a grade. And man, it just changed everything. It changed the way that we interacted with students. It reduced our withdrawal rates. It allowed us to provide more targeted services on the front end related to academic skills. So it got students to tutoring quicker. It was a pretty dynamic shift. And the response rates ended up being so good that it really helped us tell a story about every single individual student at week 3 and week 6 as to how they were performing academically.
And I think what you're talking about is a lot of campuses have faced, and some of this gets into some best practices on the teaching front of things, where early alert has helped in having those checkpoints, whatever that looks like, something meaningful earlier in the time frame.
Yeah.
I think historically we hear I have a midterm and a final. I don't think that happens a lot anymore. And at least it doesn't happen on the type of campuses that I've worked on. I don't know about the type of campuses you worked on. I don't think that happens as much. But even in moving from a midterm time frame to 5 weeks or 3 to 5 weeks in that time frame, it's really become, you can have the conversations with faculty that show the importance of some sort of meaningful engagement that occurs in that time frame, so that they have an understanding how they're doing in the course, so that appropriate decisions can be made. Do they need to seek out tutoring? Do they need to stay in the course? Do they need to consider other courses, because this is a gatekeeper course to other things that are going to be harder? You can start to have those conversations. And so it does come down to not just the support side of things, but the teaching aspect of it as well, and opening up some conversations that we don't always get to have.
Yeah. And then the not attendance piece for week 3 was really helpful to us, because if you weren't attending class in the first 3 weeks, there was a problem, right? You just knew, because we know, especially like here at Illinois State, we've done some research, right? Going to class is a pretty critical component to being successful at this institution. And we have our research area has done some work on that, and it just makes sense. And so knowing early on that students aren't attending is a real red flag and allows us to try to critically intervene on the front end. When I think about faculty, I'm always amazed pedagogically, and this isn't a knock on any particular area of the institution, but I'm always amazed pedagogically. We know that early evaluation is really important, and success begets success, right? So if we provide meaningful feedback early in a semester, and it can help the student build confidence, it can keep them engaged. And if a faculty member said, how could I best improve any course that I'm teaching? I'd say more evaluations, more meaningful opportunities to show mastery in the course. I do think the 3-week individual check-ins have been really helpful. And so I know that can't always happen in every class, but in smaller classes, integrating that practice or normalizing, whether you call them student hours or office hours, whatever you call them, I think is also another great approach. And those first 3 to 5 weeks, I know we asked this question in prep, like, does it really matter or is it just noise? I mean, I think it does really matter. Don't you, Kevin? I mean, it's critically important to retaining students and helping them feel like they belong here.
Yeah, I think that where we get to, and some of this starts to get into the early alert side of things, yes, and how your campuses do that. I've been on campuses that approach it in a variety of ways. So feedback is important. What is happening in the classroom is the part of the story that we generally don't know about on the students or the support side of things. And so for us to get to a point where we get that feedback, it's critical. But I really would encourage folks that are listening to have these conversations on your campus about what does that mean? If you're getting feedback and doing nothing with it, then why are you asking for feedback?
Yes.
Right there. And if you're getting feedback and not closing the loop with the faculty that provided the feedback, what are you doing? Yeah. And so whether you call it an early alert or an academic check-in or whatever it is on your campus, I think that's good. But what are the populations you're aiming at? Who are you talking to? Typically on most campuses, you're talking about student athletes. You're talking about students with accommodations, perhaps. You're talking about first-year students. You might be talking about probation or warning students on your campus for a variety of issues and subjects that are going on. But I really think that what does that intervention look like? What does it really push towards? Is it pushing towards appropriate tutoring? Is it pushing just to conversations with academic advisors? And if that's the case, how are advisors meeting with those students differently in a relational standpoint than the typical advising appointment? Because I will say for most of our caseloads on a lot of campuses, like those timeframes are pretty close to when you're trying to see all of your students anyway. And so like, how are those being meaningful conversations and really impacting the work that's happening on those progress reports or academic check-ins or early alerts or whatever you're calling them?
Yeah, and this is where I think some data analytics, or we can start to look at predictive analytics, or even if students have an academic record, we can prioritize those check-ins potentially. Every student deserves to have a check-in, but maybe our message is tailored to students that have shown some academic difficulty or are on academic probation. I think that's one approach. The other thing that I would say is it's good in our arsenal, I think, to understand the curriculum in the spaces where we do advise. An example that I use, this was a great approach that one of my old nursing and health professions advising areas did. They basically brought in the faculty that taught anatomy and physiology in the first year. And they said, tell us more about the course. Like, what does the course look like? When are the quizzes? How do we know a student's really struggling? If a student comes in and hasn't performed well on the first quiz and they're wanting to drop, what kind of advice do you want to provide? And that did two things. One is it armed advisors with great knowledge from the faculty. But two, it kind of expressed the idea that this was a partnership between faculty and advisors. And I loved that approach. It really is helpful. And from a faculty perspective, And I think from a coursework perspective, one of the things that we've done to outreach to faculty here, and this is not my idea, and I didn't implement it. I mean, I guess I read about it. It was a story last fall, maybe in Inside Higher Ed, about what Montclair State was doing, which is developing these PowerPoint slides that were kind of just in time, and then using these PowerPoint slides in entry-level courses to kind of hit at some of the just-in-time regulatory behaviors that need to hit. And one of my colleagues that works for me, one of my leaders, Dr. Lisa Lawless, she kind of piloted this with a couple of biology courses this semester at Illinois State University. And it's really helpful, right? The faculty member gets kind of an idea of, this isn't just about my content. It's about helping students understand what's needed to be successful in the course. And it's stuff that I just throw up on a PowerPoint slide before class. And maybe I mention, hey, this week you should really be thinking about planning out your semester. And here's some things that I think would be important as it relates to this class. Such a simple, great idea, but something that really is practical and helps students. It helps the faculty member. And ultimately, if the advisor's involved, it helps the advising staff too and the academic support staff.
A lot of themes that we're talking about. And one of those is that academics matters.
It does.
And so I want to transition in our last little bit before we start to wrap up this very quick episode in which we talked about mispronunciation of words an awful lot. The transfer portal.
Oh,
no
God.
matter what's happening on your campus or what your campus is, I'm going to guess transfer portal is a word you're talking about. And in my world, it's been the last couple of weeks, right? As we prepared for this, as we came back, I just told you about the quick start. The transfer portal didn't even open until January 2nd. We started classes on January 7th. That turnaround time of getting students admitted and in school and in class and doing all the things from a football standpoint, which is what's really been hitting us, has been a part of this. But academics matter. And so I think the transfer portal is a part of a bigger aspect of this. You can say transfer portal, NIL. We talked about that with a previous guest, the impacts of NIL and what's happening. And I got hit by this week that so many people are saying, well, does it really matter on a college campus? And I don't know all the answers. Right? I've not worked at The Ohio State. I've not worked at football powerhouse Indiana University, Brody Broshears.
Settle down now. Go easy.
I've not worked at these places. But what I do know is that students that are participating in collegiate sport have aspirations, whatever they may be. Some of them think I'm going to go pro, but a lot don't. And to put all of our...
The vast majority don't, Kevin.
Right.
The vast majority do not.
And to put our student athletes in this realm, and this is what got used, this from 2012, this Cardell Jones tweet, why should we have to go to class if we came here to play football? We ain't come to play school. Classes are pointless. And that's a 2012 tweet. In 2017, Cardell Jones graduated from The Ohio State University. Clearly, academics mattered to him because he left. He played football professionally in a variety of ways. And then he went back and got his degree. The academics mattered to him enough to do that. Yeah. But we're doing this thing where we're saying, well, why do finals week matter? These are not real students. They are real students. In this transfer portal and NIL and the world that we're in, it's really ignoring the vast majority of collegiate athletes that are busting their butt inside the classroom and then working their tails off outside the classroom to achieve athletically, but also achieve academically. And it really irks me that we're at this place where it's just being disregarded. And listen, you grew up, your daughter's played, or you had daughter play college athletics. You've been involved in athletics your entire time. Like, am I losing it here? Like,
no, Kevin, I think this is really interesting. I just watched the 60 Minutes episode that Indiana University did, or that 60 Minutes did on Indiana University football. And they were talking to Mendoza about how much money he's making, which is about $2 million is what they said they thought he was making this year as the quarterback for Indiana University. And he talked about writing an article when he was a senior in high school that college athletes shouldn't be paid. and now he's making $2 million, right? As somebody who earned his degree in 3 years is probably going to leave Indiana University. I don't know what his second degree. I wonder if he's getting an MBA. I don't know what he's doing, but clearly a bright student athlete, no doubt. And the one thing, when I was a faculty athletics rep, and I did that for about 11 years, every NCAA institution, Division I through Division III, has a faculty athletics rep. And during my time at the institution where I worked, my school was a Division II NCAA participant. And I always argued that we should build systems that are more student-friendly related to athletics. But when we started to have conversations that the college degree as a component of the student athlete experience was of no longer value to students, is when I kind of thought we were in deep trouble. And so that kind of attitude that Cardell Jones expressed in that tweet, I think we kind of got there in real life, right? Like, I think once the NIL hit and the transfer portal hit, we started treating student athletes more like employees and less like students. And I don't know now that the genie's out of the bottle that we can go back, but I do hope that we get to a point where we can maybe regulate that better. Like, I do think student athletes should be paid, but maybe there's a collective bargaining agreement that allows student athletes in non-revenue generating sports to benefit from these kinds of riches. None of it makes me feel good. And I'm not certain 10 years from now that the NCAA and student athletics will exist in the same way as it has, which is too bad, because I do think the student athletes that I worked with, the amount of things that they gained from their participation beyond maybe money now was just tremendous leadership skills, such a commitment to discipline and sport, the ability to work as a team, right, in a team. And I think we've kind of forgotten about all those other things that student athletes get. And now all we do is yell at the TV because the person's making $3 million and they didn't catch that ball that they should have caught that would have helped them win the national championship, right? Or they didn't make that basket that they should have made because, I mean, we're paying them. They should make that basket. And that's a bad place to be, I think, just generally.
And I know we've got to wrap things up and head towards the end of this episode. For every 75 football players and 12 to 15 college basketball players that are making the amounts of money that you said across campuses throughout this country, there are 300 to 400 on each of those campuses playing golf, tennis,
swimming,
track. Like, they're playing sports that might be getting something, but aren't going pro in anything else, and are there busting their butt and are a priority that academics matter. And I don't want that to be lost in the things that are happening with institutions that are spending millions upon millions of dollars for football and basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It's
bummer.
What a down take of this episode.
That was a feel good. Like, let's go.
Yeah. So let's talk about underrated movies. I don't know what the transition there is.
There's
but
no good segue.
Speaking of things that suck, no, I don't know.
Look, maybe, so let's come back. Like, maybe this is something we need to talk about more, right, in a future episode. Like, we've had John Mark on, but clearly this is evolving quickly and it's changing every day. And there is a real strain on the advising community as it relates to this work too, because oftentimes we're pivoting quickly to get students registered and eligible and made sure that they're on the right path, given the NCAA rules and regulations.
And I will say, for our audience that checks this out, if you Google CNN, Nakata, Kyle Ross, there is an article where Nakata was a part of on CNN that was talking about the advising impact in the transfer portal. It's well worth checking out. So if you happen to miss it when it came out in early January, check it out. It will still be relevant to the world that you're in right now and today.
Kyle did a great job.
Yeah, fantastic job. Our executive director, Kyle Ross. All right, 3 most underrated movies of all time in your eyes. I think this is a difficult subject.
We were talking about this earlier today, and I'm like, oh man, I got to come up with something. I think so I had some that popped up right away, 2 in particular that were pretty easy for me. The first one is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the 2013 Ben Stiller version. Totally underrated. Absolutely amazing. Like, I think people were just tired of Ben Stiller. It was his first directorial debut. Say directorial 3 times. There's a word for us, Kevin.
Directorial. Let's sell it. No.
I mean, it's amazing, first off. It was a remake, and the soundtrack is also just top-notch. But I love what that movie represents, and it was really, I think, just totally overlooked, really underrated. My next one is Strange Days, which is this fantastic mid-90s kind of dystopian view of the future, really focused in on virtual reality and kind of instant gratification. It's with Ray Fiennes, Angela Bassett. Again, another just banger soundtrack. And then my last one.
This is also is it Catherine Bigelow and James Cameron movie? Did you know that?
Yes, I think that's right.
Right. And I think at that time they were either dating or married, but no longer. But like, you think about Avatar and how big it's gotten, and Catherine Bigelow won an Oscar for a movie at some point. But this is the same folks.
Go back and check it out. It's a little tougher movie to find. I think they wrote several articles a few years ago about how difficult it was to get your hands on this movie, but it is definitely worth a view. And then the last one is one that I just can't turn off anytime it's on TV. And I don't know that it did all that well. I think it did get nominated for some Oscars here and there, and that's A River Runs Through It. I always kind of get teared up a little bit at the end, but it's kind of a great story about family, and it's a period piece in the 1920s. Those are my 3. I've spoken too long. You go.
All right, for me, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Oh, Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss, fun, big fan of Richard Dreyfuss. But it's that whole story of aspirations to be a great composer, and he becomes a high school teacher and finds his place in the world, and learns that he can make an impact in many ways, that type of thing. This one I kind of thought about because there's a TV show coming out that's a kind of a remake, The Burbs, with Tom Hanks.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I feel like you should. It's
okay.
Terrible, but great. And then I went both ways, and this is kind of yours. The Greatest Game Ever Played with Shia LaBeouf. However you want to say his name.
LaBeouf.
I don't know. Right? Like, let's make it up.
Is it Shia? Is it Shia? I mean, we could mess it up really bad.
Spell it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I kind of also thought about this one, Quiz Show. Do you remember this? But Quiz Show was like nominated for Oscars and things like that. But I just don't think people talk about it much, and really enjoyed that one. So as we finish this list here, Brody, why don't you send us home?
Yeah. All right, folks. This is the Just Us edition of the Pickup Meeting. We hope your own meetings, whether they're fun or formal, are as meaningful as fun as this one. Until next time, do good and be nice.